Hey everybody, so today I'm here to tell you all about my top baby registry picks. Now, these items are going to be stuff that I've owned, or it's an upgraded version of things that I've owned, and I'm going to have links down in the drop box for you. But basically, these are products that, if knowing what I know now, looking back, if I had to start a registry from scratch, like first time moms, if I was helping out a friend and they wanted to know, like anything like that, this is what would absolutely 100% of the time be on the registry. Now, I have 15 items, the last thing being kind of like a group of things for one purpose, but you'll see what I mean when I get to it. So I'm just going to jump in and get started. The reason I'm sitting off center today is I'm just going to keep putting pictures right here for you guys. Like I said, I do own these things, but I don't have babies anymore, so they're all put away. It's just easier to insert a picture. Just know that these are really tried and true products. I have a 2-year-old Remy and a 3.5-year-old Sophie. Most of these products we've used with both the girls, or at least an extended amount of time with one of them, so I stand beside them. Some of the items we used with Remy because we weren't able to afford or have these things with Sophie, and I really wish that we would have been able to, because, you know, they're on this list. Like I said a million times, I really stand beside these products. So to get started, the very first thing on my list is the Graco pack and play with some kind of newborn accessories. And what I mean is Graco puts out these pack and plays that have a bassinet and also a changing table. The one I have linked for you down below is the best deal I could find, because sometimes they are a little bit more pricey. Sometimes now the bassinet part can be taken out and used as a bouncer, which is great. I was just trying to put in a good budget friendly option, like the best bang for your buck. But for ours, we absolutely loved it. We've used it with both girls, and I think if I had to pick one thing besides bare necessities to have for my kids, like car seats, diapers, stuff like that, I would definitely pick this pack and play, because that's how much we used it and loved it. We use this mainly in our bedroom. We did like to room share with both the girls. That's what we're going to do for children to follow. And it's just a really nice, like, all-in-one kind of system. You have your changing table there, you have space to put your diapers, wipes, ointments, extra clothes, you name it, you could put it there. And then there's also the bassinet for when they are babies, but then whenever they outgrow the bassinet, because they will, you know, you're able to use the pack and play in two different ways. There's like a more raised up level, and then completely down at the bottom like a traditional pack and play. And even after we remove the bassinet, we keep the change table because our babies are still in diapers, so we're able to still utilize the change table, and they still have a bed, and it's all very compact. We don't have a very big master bedroom, so space really does matter, and how we use it matters even more. It's by far and away one of the best gifts we ever received as far as baby registry goes, and I will say that it's not just something you use right now, it really does grow with your child. Remy still uses this when she goes and spends the night at grandparents' house, and she's 2 years old, so you can get a ton of use out of it. It's not just a typical bassinet that they're going to outgrow and then you can't use it anymore until you have another child. So it's just, I don't know, for me, I really loved trying to shove as many products into one, so we were just getting the most out of our money basically. But by far and away, definitely recommend that. You don't have to get the Graco brand, but I just know through 2 kids, the amount we used it, it's held up beautifully. So I just wanted to mention that, and that's the reason why I linked it, because I feel like we've had absolutely 0 complaints with that thing, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. The next thing on my list is the DockATot. Now, this is something that we didn't have with Sophie because we couldn't afford it, but we did have it with Remy. We used it for an extended amount of time. I can't remember exactly how long. I want to say like give or take 6 months, but it was by far and away one of our most favorite things, because again, there's just so many uses for it. It's really great for when they're little babies and you kind of need a space for them to just lay for a minute, whether it's while you're sitting on the couch and you just want them next to you, if you're in your bedroom on the bed folding laundry. There was a lot of times that I used it exactly how I said it, but we also did use it for Remy's bedtime and her naps and stuff like that, and it helped a ton. I just by far and away absolutely love that, and the next time around we're definitely going to use it. I would suggest that you get 2 covers because there's bound to be accidents, whether it's pee or poop or whatever, you know. So while it's air drying, because it takes 12 hours to air dry, roughly, in my opinion, that's what I've found, I would get another cover, so you're just immediately able to put that cover on the DockATot, and then you can just keep using it. You don't have to wait. So yeah, that was just by far and away one of the best things that I've ever found. The next thing that I have on my list is probably my number 2 baby product that I recommend to everybody, and that is the Fisher-Price Auto Rock and Play. Now, we have the Rock and Play, just regular. It does not move on its own, and the reason why I've linked and I'm talking about the auto one is because I wish that's what we just would have got from the start. That's what we plan to get the next time we do have a baby, because Remy loved to be rocked in it, but I mean, you know, you want to go to sleep, they want to go to sleep, so you really have to keep yourself up. And I just remember so many times Mark and I falling asleep while rocking her, and just get the auto rock and play. And honestly, on Amazon they have one specifically just for Prime members that you're able to buy for around like $50, I think. So it ends up being just as expensive, if not cheaper, than some versions of the normal model. So I would definitely get that. It is just such another versatile product that you can use a bunch of different ways. It is very compact, so I love to take it to my mom's house, or really anybody's house if we're having dinner. That way baby has a nice place to be. If you have a reflux baby, it's great because it has a super raised incline, but it keeps baby, it's not gonna like make their neck go like down like this or off to the side. It keeps them positioned inclined, but also has nice head support too, so their head's not all flopping around basically. But it just by far and away was one of our most used baby products. You can move that thing easily around your house. You can take it to other people's, like I've mentioned. It's just really something that I would buy time and time again for expecting moms, or myself if it broke, anything like that. The next thing is the Graco Swivi 3-in-1 high chair seat. Now, this is something that we only had with Remy, but I had a different kind of similar version with Sophie. And basically, it's just these high chairs that are meant to sit on standard regular adult chairs. And we've never had a dining room table. I mean, we do, but we don't have it in the house. And we've always had them on the floor, which is great. But the reason why I really like the Graco Swivi 3-in-1 for babies is because you can recline it so far back that it's great for babies. The high chair is also really great because it ends up being a high chair, you know, you can recline it, and that's great for when they're babies. But now she's 2 years old, and her sister can still fit in that, my 3.5-year-old. They both fit in it. It works great. So this is something that we've used ever since Remy was like 3 months old, and we're still using it at 2 years old. Again, it's just one of those products that you can use a lot when they are babies, and it'll just slowly grow with them, and you'll get a ton of use out of it. The next thing on my list is the Boon drying rack. I love this thing so much. I don't care who you are, I really think everybody could use it eventually. Even if you plan on exclusively nursing and never giving a bottle, you're eventually going to have toys and teethers and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, I mean, most people do, and that will give you a place to put these things. And the reason why I love the Boon rack is because whether you're using it for bottles, if you're exclusively bottle feeding, or like I said, you just use it for toys and different odds and ends and stuff to do with your kids, sippy cups, whatever, it is just so versatile because of like its design. The little grass, it just allows anything to be stuck in it. Basically, no matter what you're using on it, it's going to fit in there. It's just going to be a nice place for babies' things to be. It's just one of those products I did not regret ever having. The next thing on my list is the Skip Hop Amazing Arch Activity Gym, and this is one of my most favorite play products for babies. I would, trying to think now, honestly, I would say it's probably my most favorite thing for babies whenever they can't stand up, at least. But this thing is absolutely amazing because of its size and the different functions that it gives. So the size of it, both of my girls were able to lay down under there, and you know, a full-size adult could lay down with a baby. It's just really, really awesome. It allowed my girls to bond and play together, even when Remy was super little and, you know, she doesn't really understand anything that's going on. Her big sister did. I really loved the fact that the arch could be downwards on the floor, or it can also be up in the air, so that way if baby's on their tummy or if they're on their back, they're going to be entertained. You know, they have stuff to look at, and it makes tummy time a ton easier if they are being a little bit entertained. I know it's hard. Remy wasn't always the easiest to please, but with this thing it made it a lot easier. And again, like I said, it just really appealed to me because both of my children could be there playing with it. And I also liked how the mat came off and you can throw that in the washer, so whether it's drool, spit up, toddler snacks, you can go ahead and wash that mat and it's gonna be good as new. I just know that it's well worth the price and my kids loved it. The next thing on my list is the Aiden and I Swaddle blankets. Now these have probably been beaten to death by every mom on YouTube because the majority of people really do love them, and I feel like it's in almost all newborn favorites, must-haves, registry stuff because people really do love them, and I'm absolutely no different. We own so many more now, and I like to say that I don't need any more, and I really don't, but honestly I love buying them. They come in cute prints and they're just so versatile that I love having them. Now with Sophie, she was a fall winter baby. Her birthday is at the end of October, so it's like it really wasn't about having a blanket. She had plenty of blankets that we had gotten, but it was more about what I could use it for. I used it as a nursing cover, for a kind of like a burp cloth almost. And then when Remy was born, we used them as blankets because she was a spring summer baby. Her birthday's at the end of April, and they worked really well then because there were times that I wanted her to have a blanket, but it's super hot outside, it's humid, so I wanted her to have something that was a little lighter, and they work great. No matter what you're going to use them for, whether it is a nursing cover or you want to use them as a traditional blanket, and even swaddling, they're just really exceptional, great products. Next up is the Ergo Performance Baby Carrier, and this is something that I really wish that we would have had from the very beginning, like even with Sophie, but we didn't. We had it at the beginning with Remy, and I will say that I don't tend to love it for newborns. It just is a little hot, a little complicated, not as easy as a wrap or a sling in my opinion, not as comfortable either for both mom and baby. But I do love the Ergo Performance for when they're like 4 months plus, because it feels really sturdy, especially when they get to be older. You know, they're not like, you know, when they get wiggly and stuff, they're nice and secure, they're not going to go anywhere. And I mean, my other baby carriers are like that too, but there's just something about a soft structure that really gives you some confidence in knowing that your kid is situated and they're not going anywhere. And we've got a ton of use out of it because, like I've said, I've used it since Remy was like 4 months old, and I can still stick her in it, and I had Sophie in it last year. So I mean, it is just by far and away one of my favorites. I also really like it because I, as a person, run really hot. So having a child on me just makes me even hotter. So I got the Performance because I know even in the winter time, I knew that I would be hot carrying a baby. So that's the reason why I love it, because I don't really feel warm. As long as I have my hair up, I'm good. If I have my hair down, I do tend to get a little warm, but it has very good ventilation. I feel like it's super comfortable. It's easy for me to use all by myself. I don't need Mark's help 90% of the time. So again, it's just one of those things that I think is an investment well made. Next up is something that I think a lot of parents have a hard time deciding and even finding a good one, and that is the video monitor that we have, which is a Vtech video monitor. I'm going to link you directly to the one that we have because it's got some weird numbers and letters behind the name, but we actually have gone through a few different video monitors. We were never 100% pleased with them, and there was a couple times that we were absolutely not pleased with them. I feel like baby monitors are really far behind in times, but the reason why we initially looked at this one was because it had a good price point for us, but it also had a really big screen. It has temperature readings and warnings too, so you can set a temperature that's too low or too high and your monitor will go off. And there's also like noise alerts if you want to, but honestly our kids have white noise machines, so we turn that feature off because it would just go off all the time. And there's a lot of other features with it. There's lullabies, the talk back feature where you can talk with your children and stuff, and you can set up multiple cameras. I think it's up to 4. Like I said, it's one of those things that I feel like everybody has a different preference on. It's hard to find one that you like, and they can be super expensive, but this is the one that we went with and the one that we really enjoy. Next up are baby monthly stickers. This is something I've done with both girls, and there's not really much else to say other than you won't regret doing this. This is something that I'm really glad that I did. Now with Remy, I was weeks, sometimes months late. So it's really not that big of a deal. You don't need to do things right on every single day. I mean, with Sophie, I was the perfect mom, and every time she turned a new month, we did it right on that day, and nothing was late ever. But second kid syndrome, Remy was very late sometimes. But that's not really the point. The point of these pictures is to see your baby grow and kind of have a chronological order. And that, when you reflect back on their first year, you are just going to be so thrilled that you did it. Like, it'll really just be special pictures for you. This is something you can get anywhere. I linked these rainbow ones down below because I think that's what I'm going to get for when we finally have our rainbow baby. But you can find really inexpensive ones at Walmart. You can find ones on Etsy, Amazon. I mean, these things are everywhere. So, you know, you can get very creative with it. But I did want to mention these because these are by far a must-have. The next thing on my list is the Nose Frida. Now, some of you might know what this is, some of you might not, but it's basically a nasal aspirator. And I had this from the start with Sophie, and you know, my husband and my mom still cringe at the thought of this thing, but it works. I know people have their reservations about it, but it works. And I know a lot of people get worried about like snot and stuff, you know, getting close to your mouth, but there's a long tube, like it's like this long, and you have filters that go in that hole, so it blocks the majority of the stuff. So that stuff would have to travel through that filter hole all the way up the tube before it would ever come near your mouth. So if you're paying attention and you're watching, you know, you'll be able to see that. It's never going to come in direct contact with your mouth. But basically, it just creates a seal, and you're able to suck the snot out of your kid's nose. And this thing just works phenomenally. Whether they've been babies, toddlers, it just works. I still use it on them when they get sick, and it just helps everybody. I've never found a more frustrated baby or toddler than when they're congested. And get a little bit of chest rub, some saline mist, suck that nose dry, use a saline wipe on their nose, everybody is happy. It's one of those things that's just kind of weird, but I had to mention it because it just works so well. It's saved us so many times. The next thing is the Skip Hop shopping cart and high chair cover. Now, I've owned one of these, but this one is amazing because it can be folded up into like this little, you know, bag that you can carry. That is amazing. Mine was all wonky. It didn't have anything to go inside of it, so I was just always shoving it under my arm and carrying the whole thing into a store. These things are great, especially for the shopping carts and high chairs, which I feel like they don't get cleaned on a regular basis. You hope that restaurants clean those, but you don't know either. It's not always the easiest to find the time to clean the high chairs, and this just erases all of that. It doesn't matter if it's been cleaned, who's sat in it, whatever, because you're just throwing something down on top of it. It's just a lifesaver. I absolutely love this thing, especially since you can throw it in your washing machine and you can clean it. So if it gets snacks, your own kid poops or pees, or it gets something gross on it from the cart or the high chair, it's not that big of a deal. Just throw it in the washer. Just again, I don't think you can go wrong with one of these. Next up is my Jujubee Diaper Bag. Now, this is something that I didn't have the money to invest in when I had Sophie, but I did when I had Remy because I was making my own money. And when I decided to treat myself, that's what I decided to splurge on. And I'm really glad that I did. And I wish I would have put a Jujubee diaper bag on my registry because maybe somebody would have got it for me. And I think that you could honestly own one of those bags and be done. Now, that's strange coming from me because I own multiple of them, but that's because I love them that much. But honestly, if I had to and I had to get rid of all of them except for one, I have confidence it would last through children and children to come. They can accommodate a lot of stuff or not a lot of stuff, you know, whatever you need. So this is something that, again, it's a higher priced item, but honestly, I have seen the investment pay off. So the next to last item is the Juvie Co Stroller. Now, this is something that I wish I could have changed. When we registered for Sophie, we registered for a full-size single stroller, which was great. We loved it. Have no complaints about it. However, I wish I would have done things differently because we always plan on having more than one child, and I wish I would have registered for something like this stroller because it can be a single, a double, or a triple, whatever you need. So while we only had Sophie, it could have been a single, and then when we added Remy, we would have just had to buy the adapters in the second seat, and there you go. You know, so it's very much a growing kind of stroller. It can fit a lot of different families' needs, and I really love that. I wish that the investment that we made in that single stroller could have been made in something like this, and we would have had it for years and years to come, even though this Juvie Co Stroller just came out. So, you know, 4 years ago it wouldn't have been able to happen because it wasn't around. But there are definitely other types of strollers like this out on the market. This is the one that I have used that I believe is the best quality you can get for your money, and it's not outrageously expensive. I just feel like the Juvie Co encompasses all of that. That stroller is something that we use in our daily lives all the time. I really love it, and I wish that we would have just had something like that from the start. And then the very last thing, which is the thing that I said encompassed a lot of little things, just basically around one cause, and that is stuff to get you through the first time baby's sick. It's stuff that you might not think of because, you know, you just picture having this healthy baby, and it's weird to think of the first time that they're gonna have a cold or a cough or be congested. But honestly, I'm really glad that we did think of that stuff because it paid off when it happened. The first time when Sophie had a cold, she got it at like 3 in the morning, and I was able to have that stuff, and that was a really big thing for me. I was always super glad that I had that stuff around because I just felt like, even still now, I feel like sickness just hits when I least expect it with my girls. So to have it already there is just something that puts me at ease every single time we have to go through a sickness. And there are a few items that I did want to recommend, and they are things that helped us get through those little baby colds. It is just so heartbreaking to see them have a cold, but the humidifier is number one of the biggest things that helps every single time. And we like the Crane Cool Mist humidifier. You don't have to have a filter on it, and I don't know, it just does a good job. And I prefer Cool Mist over hot mist. And a fever reducer and a pain reliever. We use Tylenol. That's what I give our girls, and that has always worked for them. You know, just ask your pediatrician what you should be getting, and they'll be able to help you more specifically. Next is also the thermometer. I'm gonna make sure to link the thermometer that we have because I love it. I'm not sure if it's the one I registered for Sophie. I don't think it is. I only registered for a rectal thermometer for Sophie, I believe, because that's the most accurate for 0 to 6 months. But after that, I just figured we'll get whatever. And I went out and I bought exactly what our pediatrician's office used, and I'll have it linked down below. It's amazing. It's been spot on every time we've ever had a temperature issue. So I trust it. It's great, and the whole family can use it. The chest rub, we use Anais company, and we all use it. It's really great. I don't have it on here, but like I've mentioned, the Nose Frida is a really good nasal aspirator, and it'll help with the congestion. You know, saline mist, that also helps loosen stuff up. It helps clean your nose and stuff. And also the saline wipes, because I found when I use tissues, toilet paper, whatever, on my kids' noses, they just eventually start getting really irritated with me. But I don't know why, but they think the saline wipes are just fine. I have used the Boogie wipes, but also Shea Moisture makes their own saline wipes now too, so that's pretty cool. But I wanted to mention those things because, like I said, you never know when sickness is going to hit, and it just is awesome to have it on hand. That way you don't have to worry about it. You can just kick right into mom mode and you can start battling that cold. But that is everything for my top registry must-haves, picks, whatever you want to call it, whatever this video is titled, I'm not sure yet. But like I said, I will have everything linked down below. If you guys have questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.